afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday. I have waited until the end of the week to do this vlog. I was going to do it yesterday, but it was always a plan to do a little one take a sit downy chatty video this week, because not a lot's been going on, and I needed to do my October review now that we're halfway through November. Yeah, this week's not been overly eventful. As I've been saying for the past few weeks, it's been particularly hectic at work, so that's kind of been my only focus and has drained all of my energy, basically. I went out on Friday for a leaving do and spent most of yesterday not doing anything. Started to feel better later in the afternoon, but by that point I was just too tired to do anything else with my day. Today has been incredibly productive in comparison. Did the laundry, the dishwasher, did the litter tray, went to the shops for a bit, got all of the stuff I need to get done basically. And then we watched the final race of the F1 this afternoon. It's just finished. Not as eventful as last year's championship, but it was still a good race. Still enjoyed it. It's going to be strange not having anything to do on Sundays, but it'll be nice to fill up our weekends with something else if we can find something else for us to be doing. So, October review. How was my October? Do you know what? It's all been a bit of a whirlwind the past few weeks. I don't know if I can remember. I feel like October went really quick. Like one of the quickest months this year so far. It just flew by. And I don't really know what I did. It was obviously Halloween. So we got a bit spooky, we did a few festive bits. I got decorated for Halloween, which was really nice. It's the first time I've kind of had a season to decorate for, and most of those decorations are still up. Just because I want to immediately transition from kind of autumn Halloween to Christmas. I'm not quite ready for Christmas yet. I think next weekend we're gonna start getting festive for Christmas. But October was the first time I got to actually like play with that and have fun with Halloween decorations, and I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. It was just one of those little things that, like, becoming a homeowner, I was like, oh, I just want to get like festive, and it was just really fun to be able to do that in my own house instead of just my room. Did a little bit of Halloween baking as well for work, which was really fun, and then we had a little spoopy Halloween movie night, which is what we do most years. It wasn't the best Halloween movie night. The movies of choice weren't fantastic. Well, they weren't terrible, they just weren't what I thought they were going to be, but it was still a very lovely evening, and we've still got a bowl of candy corn on the kitchen counter that we've got to somehow get through. I don't know what else to do with it now. It's in this bowl alongside with what was left over of my little monster pretzel things that I made for work. We're working our way through it, but it's difficult. I've not been eating very healthily in the past few weeks. It started in October, and my skin is now not great, I think, as a result of that, combined with the cold weather. October, it very quickly became very cold. I think it started more in September, but October has really been very autumny, very autumnal in the weather, much colder, much rainier. It's been a bit of an adjustment when it comes to doing like the laundry and any other jobs that involve us having to go outside, because it's kind of delayed us a bit, but it's also quite nice because it's nice at this time of year for those changes to happen, for it to be cozy inside. I've been embracing it as best as I can. So normally in these monthly reviews I like to look at my 3 kind of goals for the year and seeing where I'm at with them, and again I just don't really know what happened in October to be honest. The first goal was get a house, and since then I've kind of adapted it to be furnish the house, make it more homey. I've not really made much of a front on the actual stuff we really need to do. We need to paint our bedside tables, we need to build the shelves going in that room. We need to do some little bits of DIY around the house, and we've not done that in October. But like I was saying earlier, we got all of the Halloween decorations out and got all homey in that way, and that was really nice. It wasn't productive necessarily in the sense that we didn't have to do that, obviously, but it was still nice to have that instead. So not a lot of progress on that front, but I kind of replaced it with something fun rather than something practical, which is okay to do from time to time. The second kind of goal is getting back into musical theatre. which at the moment is mostly focused on getting my singing voice back. October was actually really productive for this. I made a lot of progress in October. I only had 2 lessons because I have a lesson usually every other week, but we kind of officially diagnosed what it was that I was doing wrong. In the time that I've taken a break from doing musical theatre, I've developed a mental block on breath control and how to breathe, and I'm effectively singing with too much air, and no matter how hard I try to overcome it, my brain just doesn't compute and all the wrong sounds come out. When you don't have good breath control, your range kind of shrinks and you just don't really have that much control over your pitch and what sounds are coming out, and what registers you're using. It's really difficult, and I definitely feel like now that we've officially diagnosed that as a problem, we can start working on what we need to do to kind of fix it. So I've been given a lot of exercises to do. Unfortunately, I've not been able to do them to the extent that I wanted to, which I'll talk about more in November's review, but I have made some progress in that area, and it's good. It's good that we've kind of gotten to that point. It just feels like from now on there's going to be a lot more we can do to fix it, hopefully. So that's been really positive in that regard, that I've been making progress in that area. That's kind of the only progress that I'm focusing on at the moment because it's kind of the main thing. I have also purchased a backdrop for me in October, which I haven't opened yet, but I plan on filming a little showreel-esque thing at some point, don't know when. But yeah, I'm really just focusing on getting my voice back at the moment because I can't really do anything until I get to that stage again, and yeah, this is obviously a massive thing to overcome. And it's going to take a lot of time, and it's incredibly frustrating, and I've been saying it this entire year. It's incredibly frustrating to be worse than where I was 5 years ago. You know, I feel like more developed as a person, yet I've like, what's the word? Regressed is the word. I've regressed, and it's frustrating because you're supposed to get better, but because I took a break, it's just, instead of stagnating like I thought it would, just staying the same, it's reversed, and I've regressed, and it's annoying. But alas, we will keep pushing and we will keep doing things, and hopefully in time it will get better and it will improve. I'm feeling very, I want a snuggly. I want to put something snuggly on. Hello. It's cold, you guys, and you know, cost of living crisis, we're trying to avoid putting on the heating as much as we can. Invest in one of these bad boys. So yeah, musical theatre, singing wise, progress has been made in the sense that we've officially figured out what it is I need to be doing and how I need to be moving forward in order to start getting back to where I once was, and that's always a positive thing. Third thing, which was reading more. Now. This took a massive hit in October, not for the reasons I thought it would. I think at the beginning of October it actually started really strong and I was doing really well. I was putting myself back on track. I kind of struggled over the summer with this book because of the weather. I started reading it during the heat wave and I really struggled to find the capacity to focus at night before going to bed because our bedroom just heats up so much, and then I just got into bad habits of only reading a couple times a week instead of every night. So it's taken me a while to read this book. It's also the biggest book I've read so far this year. It's not massive, it's only like 500 pages. Here's the book I was reading, by the way, in case you've forgotten, because it's been a very long time since I've shoved a book on camera. The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. 505, so literally just over 500 pages. But yeah, it took me a really long time to get through it, and then I finally got myself in October back in a position where I was reading it, and then I got a couple of chapters away from the end and I was suddenly like, I don't have another book once I finish this one. I just knew that if I didn't have another book immediately in my disposal, the second I finished this one, I just wouldn't read another book before the end of the year. And I want to try and at least start another book before the end of the year. I really wanted to keep up with the good reading pace I had, and my brain decided the way to do that was to stop reading until I had another book. So the first half of October, really good. The second half of October, I just stopped, and I stopped on purpose so that I could order some more books. I've ordered 2 books. One of them has arrived and the other hasn't. I have 1 book ready, so this week I finished this book. Finally. It's taken me about 5 months, hasn't it? 4 months. I started it like mid-July. I started it on the 13th of July and I finished it on the 17th of November. 4 months, about 4 months, just over. Not great. Considering all of the other books I read this year, it's been about 4 to 6 weeks to get through a book. 4 months is quite a big setback. However, and I've been telling myself this the past few months through reviews, my goal this year was to read more, because last year I only read 2 books and I just wanted to get back into reading, period. I didn't set myself a number, specifically because I knew if I did, it would immediately stop being fun, because it would become like a challenge to read a certain amount of books rather than to just get back into enjoying reading again. So as much as it's frustrating that the pace dropped, I'm not that upset about it. This book as well is probably the best book that I read this year so far. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a murder mystery about someone who is stuck in a time loop and he has to solve the murder in order to get out of the time loop. And every time he wakes up from in the time loop, he is a different person at the party and he has to figure out, based on the person he's embodied, all the different puzzle pieces that connect to the murder of Evelyn Hardcastle. It's really, really clever, it's really interesting. I knew it was a book about being stuck in a time loop based off of reading the description of the book, but the time loop doesn't actually get started until like almost 100 pages in. Like, the character doesn't realise he's in a time loop until that point. So it starts off very slow paced and then suddenly gradually gets better and better and better as you kind of understand more of what's going on. But it's really, really good. It's really good. I love stories where there's like loads and loads of different characters, different storylines going on, and then you kind of find out that they're all connected at the end, and like you're following lots of different stories and lots of different things, and then they somehow all get connected. At the beginning of the book it has like a map of the house, can you see that? Just about. And it tells you like where all the characters are staying in the house. I thought, was there not a character like map? Oh, there's a little bit here at the beginning that's like the invitation to the party, and it kind of lists a bunch of the key characters. It's a really good book, I definitely recommend it. And I didn't actually see the twist at the end coming. There's lots of twists in this book, obviously, because it's a murder mystery, but there's like a big twist at the end. And I didn't see it coming. I knew a twist was coming, but I couldn't figure out what it was. So when it happened, I was like, ah, that's that book finished. This is the next book that I'm starting now. This is a book called Ella Minnow P by Mark Dunn. It's a book about a character called Ella Minnow P writing to her cousin about this island that she lives on, and how letters of the alphabet are becoming illegal, and so gradually the letters that she sends her cousin are gradually losing letters of the alphabet, and she has to start writing phonetically with whichever letters are left that are legal to use. It was just a very interesting concept. I read a Tumblr post about it and I was like, that actually sounds really interesting. I really want to see it, and it's not very long. It's only 203 pages, so not long at all. Hopefully I should finish this by the end of this year. Although this other book still hasn't arrived. The other book that I've ordered is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because I've not read it. I've read excerpts of it and I know it's obviously a classic and I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I do want to read it, but it's not arrived yet. I don't know where it is. Not come in the post yet. Don't want to finish this so quickly that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy hasn't then arrived, because this is very short. But at the same time I do want to get cracking on it before the end of the year. It was kind of 50-50 on reading in October, and I will update you in my November review. Those are my 3 goals of the year, kind of covered. What else has October been good for besides Halloween and the festivities of it? Oh, I've started watching more TV in my own time in October. That's something it's not been a goal, but it's something that has just kind of started happening again. The ice hockey season has started again. So Chris is at hockey one evening a week, and he's also got back into doing roller hockey. He took a bit of a break over the summer because he had a really horrible cough that was obviously making it really difficult for him to play sports. That's kind of recovered, and they're back. They take a summer break as well, I think. So Chris is out a couple of evenings a week for hockey, which means I get the house to myself for a couple of evenings a week. And I've been using that time to kind of watch more TV and film that I don't normally get the chance to do. We normally watch TV together, and Chris is very fussy with what he watches on TV. You know, we watch a lot of shows that I enjoy, but they're generally always light comedies and kind of casual watches. The camera stops recording after a certain amount of time. I watched a couple of musicals. I can't remember if I watched both of them in October or whether one of them was in September or not, but I've been watching more musicals. I watched In the Heights. I've also started watching Game of Thrones, or starting it up again. I watched Game of Thrones up to about season 4 before. I enjoyed it, but I just got a bit bored of all of the characters dying, because all of the character deaths in Game of Thrones are very like sudden and, you know, just cut a character story arc short, and they're always very unfair deaths in a lot of situations, and it's always very it's dissatisfying to have all of these characters that you like start getting attached to have their stories just cut off, and you're just like, oh, okay, great. I think it's because I was binging it, it made it a lot harder to digest it, and it just got to a point where being interested in the characters that were alive didn't outweigh the dissatisfaction of all of the characters that had been killed off. So I stopped watching it after season 4. I've tried a couple of times to rewatch it, and I've always decided to go back to season 1, and I've never gotten past season 2 when I've done that. So instead I decided I need to start exactly where I left off and just try and remember what's happened in those 4 seasons, and I was actually really good at it, to be honest. I thought I was going to struggle remembering what happened throughout those 4 seasons because it's been a really long time since I've watched them, but I actually remembered pretty much all of it. Yeah, it was really easy to catch up, and now I'm about to start season 8. I have noticed a drop off in writing quality from season 7 onwards, which was something that everyone said about on social media at the time, but I'm still invested enough. I do know who wins Game of Thrones, and I know who dies, or the significant characters who dies at least, in the last season, because it was just all over the internet at the time and I didn't watch it at the time, so I didn't really care. But I'm still invested, I still want to watch this last season, so that's been really nice doing that. I also went to go and see a musical last month. I wanted to see loads of musicals this year, and I have seen more than I have done in a long time. I went to go and see Six, a musical with my friend up in London. Oh, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. It was nice to go out for dinner and catch up, and then just go and see a good show. And Six is such a fun, easy show to watch because it's not really a musical, it's more of a concert, but with fictional characters doing it. So it was a very easy watch, and it was very fun and lighthearted. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I did it. And we do have plans to do it more and soon, hopefully, but money at the moment is tight. Everyone, I think, at the moment is going through a bit of financial stress. It's not necessarily that I don't have money, it's that I don't want to dip into my savings to spend on things. And the next couple of months is obviously going to be orientated around Christmas, getting ourselves decked out as well as getting everyone presents, which I'm hopefully going to start looking at from next weekend onwards. I need to make a list of who I'm getting presents for this year. So many people in my life now. I've also got Secret Santa at work. In summary, October was a very quick month. 2 of my 3 goals, nothing really happened. However, musical theatre and getting back into musical theatre is the goal that means the most to me, I think, out of all 3 of my goals. So the fact that a lot of progress was made in that area, where previously, I think throughout this year, it's probably been the slowest one to progress, has been really positive. It is now way into November. Well, way into November, we're about halfway through November. From next weekend it's going to start getting festive here on Little Slices of Melon, so stay tuned. But yeah, I am now going to spend the rest of my Sunday editing this because I've left it to the last possible minute, because I suck. And I also need to wash my hair, and I just need to have a pamper, really, because I've got more spots than I can count, and it's stressing me out. I just need to relax. Thank you for coping with me while I've sat here and ranted basically for half an hour. Appreciate it, and I will see you guys next week for some Christmas festivities. Bye!